Shanice flipped the worn brass open sign on Hawkeye Diner at 12:03 a.m., the clang against the door echoing through the empty strip of downtown Iowa City. Outside, a late spring breeze had carried away most of the day's heat, but inside, the glow of the neon signs still pressed warmth against the Formica tables and vinyl booths. Shanice Williams, 32 years old, single mother, waitress extraordinaire, moved with steady precision as she wiped a syrup drip from the counter. The apron around her waist was no longer pristine. It bore faint stains from 10-hour shifts, coffee grounds clinging to the hem, pancake batter at the chest, meal after meal paid forward by hope. Every tip she'd ever saved was tucked into a manila envelope labeled Destiny Summer Camp, the $600 goal buried beneath more weeks and more shifts, inching ever closer. At exactly 11:48 p.m., the bell above the door tinkled, a small punctuation in the late-night hush. Shanice glanced at the clock mounted over the kitchen window and winced. Manager Greg's rule was ironclad, no orders after 11:30. 18 minutes past closing, yet here she was. She tightened her grip on the rag and squared her shoulders. Lives sometimes outweighed rules. A lone figure slipped inside, shoulders hunched beneath a faded University of Iowa baseball cap, bearing the number 22 in black and gold. A duffel bag swung at his side. He moved without drama, but Shanice recognized the gait. Powerful, practiced, a hint of limelight in every step. She stilled. He paused under the neon glow before meeting her eyes, honest brown eyes rimmed with fatigue and the slightest spark of gratitude. "Evening," Shanice said, careful to keep her voice steady. "We're closed, but I can still get you coffee, or our wild rice soup if you've got a minute." The man lifted the brim of his cap and offered a small, polite smile that dimmed the diner's fluorescent glare. "Coffee, black please," he said in a low, calm tone. "And the soup, if you don't mind." She nodded and dipped into her apron for a clean mug. In the kitchen, Jerry the cook scooped soup from the steaming pot with a gruff grunt, his way of saying, "I'll do it this once." Moments later, Shanice returned with the bowl and a mug of strong roast, setting them before her famous late-night regular. "Here you go," she said. He leaned in, inhaled the steam, and took a tentative sip. "Perfect," he murmured, eyes closing as though he'd found sanctuary in that first spoonful. Shanice retreated to clear a table, wiping away stray crumbs while her mind traced the shape of Destiny's grin when she finally held camp registration papers in hand. 2 more shifts, she reminded herself. 2 more shifts. By the time the soup vanished, Shanice carried a slice of cinnamon apple pie, crust golden, apples tender with spice, across the aisle. He reached for the fork, paused, and offered her a nod of thanks. "Thank you, Shanice," he said, voice soft. She counted out his check, $48. He watched her with those steady eyes, then reached into his jacket and placed 5 crisp $100 bills on the Formica. "For your daughter's camp," he said simply. Her breath caught as she folded the bills into her apron pocket, tears prickling behind her lids. She forced a nod, whispered thank you, and stepped back as he rose and slipped past the booths, the bell chiming his departure into the Iowa night. Shanice didn't lock the door until 12:45 a.m. Outside, a soft breeze carried away the din of her heartbeat. She tucked the envelope into her coat and climbed into her car, headlights carving a path toward home under the fading neon glow. Their small apartment above the laundromat smelled of laundry detergent and worn comforters. Inside, Destiny lay curled on the couch, basketball still cradled in her arms. Shanice shed her coat and boots, counted the $500 one more time, and pressed it into an envelope labeled Destiny Camp. She set the envelope by her daughter's sneakers and college brochure stack, then sat beside her, pulling her close. "We're going," she whispered. Destiny's soft breath steadied her own. Tomorrow could wait. Dawn's first light found Shanice in the kitchen at 6:12 a.m., flipping pancakes while Destiny bounced her ball against the linoleum. "Mama, Coach Jensen said my form is perfect," Destiny crowed, eyes bright as spring. Shanice set the pancakes on a plate, her heart swelling, until her phone buzzed saying, "A text from Greg. See me in the office. Now." She swallowed, forced a smile, kissed Destiny's head, and drove back to Hawkeye Diner, each red light a weighted impulse to turn back. Inside, the kitchen's buzz felt colder. Greg sat behind his desk, screen flickering with grainy video. Shanice pouring coffee at 11:49 p.m. Rules are rules, he said quietly. No malice, just policy. I'm sorry, Shanice. You're fired. Her chest tightened. But he was hungry. Greg shook his head. Not my call. Pack up by Friday. She left with her apron rolled in her arms, blinking back tears. Destiny waited in the car, basketball in her lap. Mama, Shanice's voice trembled. She held out the envelope. We're okay. We'll be okay, she promised. Destiny nodded, small but unwavering. That afternoon, the apartment felt empty. Shanice stared at the envelope on the coffee table, heart aching with relief and dread. Her phone rang, unknown caller. Miss Williams, a calm woman's voice said. I'm Cynthia Larson, Caitlin Clark's assistant. Caitlin asked me to thank you personally for your kindness at Hawkeye Diner and to invite you to meet her today at 2 p.m. at the Caitlin Clark Foundation office in downtown Iowa City. Will you come? Shanice's breath caught. I don't work anymore, she whispered. Please, Cynthia said gently. She insisted. She exchanged a look with Destiny. Okay, she said at last. I'll be there. At 1:55 p.m., Shanice stepped into the lobby of the historic Iowa Theater Building, now home to the Caitlin Clark Foundation. Banners in black and gold declared CCF and Hawkeye Hoop Dreams. She rode the elevator to the 5th floor, passing photos of Caitlin dunking in overtime, kids beaming with new basketballs, and community clinics on grassy fields. An assistant greeted her. Ms. Williams, she asked, handing her a staff badge. Welcome to CCF. Please follow me. They stopped before a frosted glass door labeled Caitlin Clark, founder and president. Shanice paused, straightened her blouse, and knocked. Inside, Caitlin Clark herself rose from behind a sleek wooden desk. No cap, just a Hawkeyes polo and jeans. Her smile warm and genuine. Shanice Williams, she said, voice clear and friendly. Thank you for coming. Shanice stood, heart racing, and shook her hand. Thank you for inviting me. Caitlin gestured to 2 chairs. Shanice sat, folding her hands in her lap. Caitlin leaned forward. Last night you served me like any other person in need, with no extra fanfare or special treatment. You just saw someone who needed help and you did what was right. That's exactly the spirit Hawkeye Hoop Dreams is built on. She slid a glossy folder across the desk. Community Outreach Coordinator, Iowa Region. Shanice opened it with trembling fingers. Inside lay the offer, an annual salary nearly double her combined diner and coffee shop wages, full health and dental benefits from day one, a retirement plan, and most precious of all, a full scholarship for Destiny to attend both the summer camp and the inaugural Snow Jam Winter Festival, plus priority enrollment in year-round training programs. Tears welled in her eyes. I don't have nonprofit experience, she whispered. Caitlin shook her head. What you have, empathy, integrity, a real connection to this community, is priceless. Take the weekend to decide. Orientation is Monday. Her smile was steady, unwavering. That evening, Shanice and Destiny sat on the worn couch, the folder open between them like a promise. Outside, the last light of dusk shimmered across the Mississippi. Destiny traced CCF with her fingertip. Mama, is this real? Shanice pulled her close. It is, she said softly. But it's hard work, helping kids like you. Destiny's grin sparked hope across the room. Then let's do it together, she declared. We're a team. They held each other, ready to step into a future built on one small act of kindness, and everyone after. The next morning, the sun rose pale over Iowa City, but Shanice woke with a fire in her chest. At exactly 9 o'clock, she stepped into the bright, open-plan offices of the Caitlin Clark Foundation. The walls were lined with photos of Caitlin's record-breaking shots, youth clinics in full swing, smiling kids dribbling through painted hoops. Caitlin spotted her at the entrance, beaming. Welcome aboard, Shanice, she said, extending a hand that felt more like a hug. Ready to change some lives? Shanice nodded, swallowing a lump of pride and nerves. Caitlin led her to a horseshoe-shaped table where a half-dozen staffers, program managers, event coordinators, volunteer liaisons were already seated with coffee mugs and laptops open. "This is the team that makes it happen," Caitlin introduced each person in turn. Shanice absorbed names and roles: Marisol, who ran school partnerships; Jamal, who organized the Snow Jam Festival; Elise, the social media whiz; and Coach Hasi Snowden, Caitlin's former college mentor, who now served as youth development director. Caitlin tapped a whiteboard scrawled with bold markers: pop-up clinics, school assemblies, Snow Jam Festival, full-year training programs, regional expansion. Shanice took a seat next to Coach Hasi. Caitlin smiled at her. "Why don't you kick us off? Walk us through your priorities for the pop-up clinics." Clearing her throat, Shanice addressed the group. "Thank you. My plan is 5 weekend clinics in Title I zones across Iowa City and Coralville, 3 on campus, 2 in community centers. Each clinic will run 2 hours, fundamentals and small group skills, coaching, then scrimmages so kids put it into practice. I've secured bus routes with the school district, and our sponsorship from Hy-Vee covers new basketballs and thermal gear distribution." She clicked through slides as they watched, applause breaking out when she announced partnerships with local high school coaches and teams from the Women's Basketball Alliance. Coach Hasi leaned in afterward. "Brilliant," she said. "Let's thread in leadership workshops, goal setting with Caitlin for 10 minutes after drills." "I can handle that," Jamal nodded on the other side. "And we'll time it to lead into Snow Jam signups. December's festival will be massive." By afternoon, Shanice was touring the first pop-up site at Grant Elementary. The gym's parquet floor needed refinishing, but the principal greeted her with enthusiasm. "We've been dreaming of this." Together, they mapped out where portable hoops would go, where parents could watch, and where volunteers could station hot chocolate tables. Shanice took notes on her tablet, already envisioning banners reading, "Hawkeye Hoop Dreams," from the rafters. That evening, she took the late bus home, exhausted but electrified. She reviewed her meeting notes, adjusted clinic dates, and drafted volunteer emails. Her phone buzzed with a text from Caitlin. "Great first day. See you tomorrow at practice. CC." Shanice smiled, imagining handwritten thank you notes from Destiny for the day's heroics. Saturday arrived crisp and clear. At 8 a.m., Shanice unlocked the Grant Elementary doors, where 15 volunteers in CCF hoodies were already unloading portable hoops from a trailer. She handed out clipboards with sign-in sheets as kids and parents filed in. By 9 o'clock, 70 children, gloved, gleeful, bouncing tattered basketballs, crowded the court. Shanice started the clinic with a quick welcome, then split them into groups for dribbling drills. She spot-coached a pair of third graders on crossover moves, then high-fived a 10-year-old who nailed her first free throw. In the bleachers, Caitlin Clark watched, notebook in hand. After the drills, Caitlin joined Shanice on the court, gathering the kids around. "Remember," she said, "every great shot starts with practice and believing you can make it. Let's see that hustle." Together, they ran a shooting competition, laughter and cheers echoing off the walls. Parents snapped photos as their children high-fived the stars of their own stories. By midday, the clinic wrapped. Shanice tallied feedback forms. 98% of participants wanted more sessions, and packed up equipment alongside volunteers. She felt a warmth deeper than the indoor lights. This was what she had worked all along to create. The following week, Shanice pivoted to school assemblies. She spoke to 4th graders at Parker Elementary about perseverance and kindness, sharing the story of that late-night diner shift and how a single act of generosity could open doors. Hands shot up when she asked who wanted to practice dribbling after school. Dozens of students crowded the hallways with makeshift basketballs. In late October, staff turned full attention to Snow Jam, the winter festival at the outdoor courts near Hickory Hill. Shanice coordinated snowplow access with Parks and Rec, oversaw tent rentals, and confirmed Caitlin's appearance in the opening cameo video. She plotted clinic times, slip-proof shooting, icebreaker scrimmages, and a fireside Q&A with Caitlin discussing goal setting in blizzard conditions. She drafted press releases and secured coverage on Iowa Public Radio. On the morning of Snow Jam, she arrived before dawn. The park entrance arch was draped in black and gold lights. Walkers of snow crunched under her boots. Caterers were setting up cocoa stations. A stage bore Yamaha logos for live DJs. Local high school bands warmed up. She caught her breath as Caitlin rolled in on a snowmobile-pulled sled, waving to the crowd. The festival kicked off with cheers that carried across fields. Shanice marched beside Caitlin during the opening ribbon cutting. Scissors oversized, snowflakes drifting like confetti, and the crowd erupted into applause. Over the day, Shanice bounced between shooting stations, teaching on-ice dribble drills, the snowboarding crossover events, and the fireside tent where she moderated the Q Poissonnet. A father approached her, tears in his eyes, clutching a mittened hand. "Thank you," he said. "My son hasn't smiled like this in months." Shanice squeezed his shoulder. "These kids deserve every chance," she replied. When dusk fell and hot chocolate cups ran dry, Shanice surveyed the transformed park. Kids still playing beneath LED lights, volunteers stowing equipment, announcers recapping highlights. She felt a pull of pride so fierce it buzzed in her veins. Back at the office the next day, Caitlin called her over. They reviewed attendance numbers, over 1,200 participants, and social media engagement soaring. "We did it," Caitlin said, eyes shining. "All because someone served me a bowl of soup when I needed it." Shanice nodded, remembering that neon-lit diner booth. "And then you believed in me," she replied. Winter transitioned to spring, and Hawkeye Hoop Dreams clinics expanded into neighboring towns, Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, and Ankeny. Shanice traveled highways lined with budding green, opening new sites, training new volunteers, and embedding CCF's mission in every community gym. She oversaw the launch of year-round skills academies, summer camps in Des Moines, and STEM and sports workshops with local universities. By the following autumn, CCF had blossomed into a statewide network of youth centers, all born from one late-night moment of compassion in a small Iowa City diner. Shanice stood on the stage at the first anniversary gala, Destiny at her side, both wearing Hawkeye gold and black. Caitlin introduced Shanice as her regional director of community impact. And the crowd erupted. Shanice raised the microphone hard full. "Sometimes the greatest victories aren't game-winning shots, but the moments we choose to see each other, to offer kindness when no one's watching, because that is how we build champions for life." The audience rose in a standing ovation, but Shanice's gaze found Destiny's proud smile in the front row. In that instant, every sacrifice, every shift, and every heartfelt choice felt affirmed. A single bowl of soup, repaid 1,000 times over in laughter, opportunity, and the echo of bouncing basketballs across Iowa's courts. Sometimes she knew one kind act truly can change everything. Thank you for sharing this incredible journey with us. Shanice's courage, empathy, and determination to hold on to her dreams have inspired us all. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. By subscribing, you'll be notified when new videos are posted, and you'll become part of our community. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how this story touched you. See you in the next video. Take care.